You're listening to Edging the Truth.
Welcome to episode 10 of Two Steps from the Edge, presented by Edging the Truth. I'm here with my buddy Fudge. We are here with what is our 50th total episode produced by Edging the Truth. How cool is that, Fudge?
Pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. The big 5-0. A couple years you'll be there, Red. So
A couple of years, dude. It's getting to be a couple months now. sad, but you know.
No, it's fun. So it's what 38 episodes of actual Edging the Truth, 2 special episodes, and episode 10 of Two Steps. It's been a fun ride so far, and excited for another great episode.
Absolutely. And we've got some fun topics for today. And speaking of 50 episodes, we got tons of episodes. So check them out at edgingthetruth.com or visit us on YouTube or any of our social media. You can find how to check out all our stuff on podcast platforms, et cetera, et cetera. Fudge, you've got a great article for today that I also saw and was so excited that is what you picked, because this is right up our alley. We why is it that we always end up doing the animal episodes, man?
I don't know.
We've had a couple of these now back to back where we both picked stuff related to animals of some kind. So let's get this shared on the screen and you can tell the folks what we are talking about here.
Well, this is an article from the New York Post. We are some Post Malones today because I think yours is also a Post article. So
yes.
Mystery alien creature baffles scientists, looks exactly like a mermaid. So this past week, I believe, in Australia, this washed up on the shore of a beach. Yeah, you can scroll down there. So it has a very, human-shaped head, looking head. It's got a rib cage, and then one that the bottom. I don't know, Red. That to me that looks like a long fin type.
Yeah,
thing. How you would classically think a mermaid looks, right? With the fishtail on the bottom there. So apparently this was just discovered by some Australian lady that was, driving down the beach. I think they were looking for a camping spot or something. They saw that and she really wanted to know what it was. So she took a picture of it and she posted it in some Facebook group, and it kind of just took off from there. It went viral. A bunch of people leaving in the comments what they thought. I think they sent it off to some scientists as well, and they are estimating that it is some type of marine mammal creature. Somebody said there was a kangaroo carcass. I saw that, but I don't know why that would be floating in the middle of the ocean and then wash up on shore. But I don't know, dude. I saw this. Like I said, I sent it, I think, immediately to the Edging the Truth group because this is right up our alley of stuff we like to speculate about. But I don't know, Red, what do you think this is? Do you think this is a mermaid skeleton? You think this is some weird fish nobody's ever discovered? I'm not familiar with the area and what kind of shit lives there either way, but I don't know. This looks like a fucking mermaid.
Yes, it looks very strange. And I've seen, the crazy hoax mermaid skeletons and things like that at different roadside attraction places. And this is sort of that ilk, but this doesn't look like something somebody manufactured and, put together on the beach or whatever. This seems way more like it was found. It was discovered. Whatever we're looking at in those pictures that are in the article seems to be as it was. So if that's true, then what the heck is the thing? It definitely doesn't feel like a kangaroo. It definitely, I mean, I don't know what the hell it is, but I will say this. Australia and that part of the world, the marine biology, marine life is quite diverse. Incredibly diverse. Like, people take trips from around the world to go there to study marine biology and the sea life there. So it is entirely possible that it's just something weird that we don't know about or that's super, super rare. We're actually going to see an example of something like that in the next story. Something that's just super rare. It's not undiscovered. People have known about it for many, many years. It's just not seen very often. I don't think that's what this is. I don't know what this is. I mean, again, I'm not an expert, so I certainly can't base it. But the fact that these scientists from wherever university that did survey it, or did they survey it, or did they just look at the photos?
I think they just looked at the photos. So this was found by her name is Bobby Lee Oates. She's 34. Stumbled across this while walking along the beach in Keppel Sands, Queensland. She described it. She estimated it as 6 feet long. It had a human-shaped skull with an elongated jawline and hair similar to the color of a cow or kangaroo, but with hair missing in many places due to decomposition.
Yeah.
It was exactly like a mermaid shape, but hairy because it seemed to have a tail or limb of some sort. She was shocked over the corpse's human-like countenance.
Yeah, it is remarkably human-like, at the very least from the waist up, right?
Right.
Like, it feels like a hybrid in that a mermaid would be one thing on one, on half and half, or a merman.
The only thing I'm not seeing is like arms.
Yeah, which, ultimately could come out of their sockets, but then again, who knows? Maybe mermaids don't have arms.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm not going to pretend to know what they look like.
Are we due for an episode on other mythical sea creatures like mermaids and things like that?
So looks like, yes, we absolutely are. So Rob DeVille, project manager for the UK Cetacean Standings Investigation Program at the Zoological Society of London, reviewed the photos, said definitely looks like a small cetacean to me. I'm not familiar with the area nor which the species that are normally found there, so I really can't take it any further than that.
Yeah.
So maybe not a scientist, but somebody that seems to be pretty familiar with sea creatures and stuff like that. But yeah. I don't know, dude. This is it's just weird.
It's so weird. It's weirdly accurate. And if it was a fake, let's play devil's advocate and say it's a fake. It's an art installation. It's a intentional, whatever. It's really good and very convincing and looks very real. Most of the time, these things don't look that real. They look fake. And this doesn't look fake. But that's also, you can explain a lot by saying, oh, it's decomposition. It's been in the water. It's been in the sand. It's been,
Yeah.
Who knows, man?
We don't have a good answer for this one other than this is weird. And it doesn't look fake to me. It certainly looks like a rotting carcass for sure. And now that, if you scroll down in the article to the second picture, you can actually clearly see like the hair that they're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Just a hairy mermaid. I'm a hairy Australian mermaid in Queensland. I don't know. Tell us what you think in the comments. Do you think this is a mermaid? I guess we are due for a siren or a mermaid type episode after this, maybe, Red. But
I mean, mermaids were a huge thing when I was a kid because the movie Splash had come out, right? And that was such a, for a variety of reasons, was a popular movie, and so mermaids were like a thing that you talked about and heard about, and it was, then the Little Mermaid was done in whatever the early 90s, and that kind of continued it along, and now here we are, and we've got a new Little Mermaid movie, and is this just a function of it being back in popular culture and people wanting to see it in things? Who knows? I always find it fascinating that a lot of these topics that we talk about, they do kind of come in cycles in terms of popularity, that people talk about it intensely for a month or two or three or four, and then it isn't really, kind of dies down. And then for whatever reason, because somebody stirs the pot again, or there's a new sighting or whatever, it becomes popular again. I love these. I'm sure in the same way that there's a UFO study society that tracks all, UFO sightings and things like that, I wonder, there's got to be like a cryptozoological society that keeps track of every mermaid sighting that's ever been historically recorded and things like that, right? So I think it's super fun. I think it's as you said, I think we're due for an episode talking about this little lane of the cryptozoological universe. we've done Bigfoot, we've touched on some of these elements, and we've definitely done some weird animal stuff in some of these episodes, but we've never done a full episode, I don't think, on some of them. So,
No, why not? Why not add
well,
it to the lexicon?
we've got a second crazy weird animal that I read an article about today. Uh, Again, not a new animal, not a new species, nothing discovered or anything like that. Just an encounter with an incredibly rare species and some great video and photos. This article from the New York Post. I guess our Google News feeds and algorithms are in sync, Fudge.
Uh-huh.
This thing is called a doomsday fish, also known as an earthquake fish, but more commonly known as a giant oarfish. And as I scroll down here, this was, I believe, off the coast of Taiwan. And we can see here, this thing is quite large. In this particular case, a few feet, and can be incredibly larger in real life, apparently. What's particularly crazy about this fish is it's got holes in it, like large holes, that are quite mysterious looking. And you can see the divers, here swimming along with it to give you some scale. It's the length of two people, stacked up. So 10, 12 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And this is apparently small by comparison. So, but also, again, very, very, very rare. Now, this thing is associated with this superstition in Japanese mythology that this particular fish will intentionally rise to the surface and beach itself ahead of an impending earthquake. And these fears, as the article says, were at its highest in 2011 during the Fukushima earthquake and tsunami that followed it. But it is an incredibly rare beast. And to get to these, I thought it was a Midjourney. When I saw these images, I thought, oh, that's such a cool idea for a fake Midjourney. Okay, so I'll pick back up. But I think it's incredibly interesting that this is something that's so rare and has this interesting superstition associated with it. I've never heard of such a thing. It's definitely not anything I've ever seen a photograph of, and definitely something weird. It falls into the category of weird for me. Not is it a myth or something? Because clearly it does exist. But like I said, I thought this was a Midjourney. I thought this was just a creative use of art. Make a picture of some divers swimming next to a giant flat fish.
Yeah. It's it's a looker for sure. I mean, these giant holes are tripping me out though. Like, I don't know. I want to know what bit into that thing and just took a chunk out of it, and it's just fine, I guess. Like, they didn't fuck it up at all. It's just got two big holes in there, in the side of it.
Yeah, I think the article says that they thought that it had to do. It was the work of what they call a cookie cutter shark, which is usually cores chunks out of large fish. So, which also I have never heard of or seen. So that would potentially explain the circular holes, because it bores, it bores in this way. But still, so strange.
Can we officially predict an earthquake coming soon? Because because this fish is rising to the surface.
That's what we are meant to believe. That now, the official explanation, it is believed, is that this thing rose to the surface to die. That it was not doing well and was rising to the surface to die. Sadly, but at the same time, boy, I hope they keep track of it and all that stuff, because if it's that rare, they should study it and figure out why there were those marks and all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Even if it was a small one, like, the thing is huge. Can you imagine, like, it is dead and you're like in a boat and you come across that thing just floating on top of the water?
It would freak me out.
Yeah,
more than the mermaid thing. I mean, this is way scarier than that. This thing could, I'm a small person. This thing is twice as big as me. Like I could be inside its carcass, and there's still plenty of room, probably.
Big fish, little red.
Yeah.
You could squeeze out of that little hole.
I mean, if I feel like based on the scale of these pictures, like my head would be sticking out of one of those holes, you know.
What a visual.
Should we Photoshop it?
Yeah, we should. You just peeking out of the hole of the earthquake fish or whatever they call it.
Yeah. I mean, and it has so many names apparently. I find that fascinating too. Like there's maybe it's time for a cottage industry of doomsday animals. We could do a whole series of art prints on animals that represent coming apocalypses and doomsdays. There's lots, right? I think aren't birds birds going a certain direction supposed to be a sign of of earthquakes and animals leaving areas, and there's lots of different kind of folkloric nature oriented things connected to predicting catastrophes. So I'm maybe I have to do some research, do a little deep dive.
Yeah, I don't know, but we're feeling very fishy today.
Yes.
On this episode, trying to get to the bottom of it.
Well, have you ever encountered any kind of weird things that clearly existed, but you're like, I don't know what the hell that is?
I don't know, just in general, or like you talking about like in the water?
I mean,
or,
man, in general, like just saw an animal at out in the wild, and you're like, I don't know what the heck that was. I know it was a weird animal, and I definitely saw it, but
I don't know. Maybe the first time I saw Brian. He is real.
Do you think he's gonna watch this episode? Post your thoughts in the comments.
Yeah. Probably not. No, off the top of my head, something.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the weird mutated things. I remember I had a teacher that had like a 2-headed pig in a jar in their closet, and stuff like that.
All right.
Yeah, it was weird for sure, but those things are not, they're not uncommon apparently. I mean, they happen.
Yeah.
And in the same way that, Siamese twins happen and things like that. But I've never seen an animal where I just thought I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
I
can't say that I really have either. I'm not, at least nothing really like comes to mind.
Yeah.
I've been like, oh, wow, that's cool to see. But I don't know if anything was like, oh, yeah, what the fuck was that? I don't know.
Yeah. It's been a minute since I was at a zoo where I saw something crazy. You see varieties of things that are familiar, but nothing that's so rare and crazy that you're like, I didn't even know that something like that existed. Maybe you have, if you're a listener. Have you had an encounter with a crazy animal? Have you seen something that few have seen? You can tell us. You can let us know. We would love to share your story with other people. We have a wonderful voicemail where you can call and just tell us your story. 917-979-6071. You don't have to talk to either one of us knuckleheads. You can just talk to the machine, so to speak, and let your story be told. If you want to support us, there's lots of ways you can do that. Edgingthetruth.com has links to everything. We've got a shop with a bunch of merch. We've got, all kinds of different designs. I think maybe it's time for some mermaid and more cryptozoology things. Who knows? Maybe some art prints. I feel like this could be a fun lane for us, something like that.
We'll start selling full mermaid tails that people can put on and use in the water.
Well, speaking of mermaid tails, we sponsored a wrestling event, and I saw lots of furry accoutrement and furry tails and mermaid tails and kitty ears and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for more of that. We'll let you know when that is officially posted and live, and you can support us that way too and take a watch of that. Reg, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I just watched that for the characters in the crowd alone. It's Red had some very good people watching that weekend.
I certainly did.
But we appreciate them for letting us be a part of that for the second year in a row now. Happy to support. We're happy for all the support from you guys. Tell us what you think in the comments. Are you down for this mermaid? Is there an earthquake coming? What do you think about this big old fish that they found? Apparently, like you said, Red, like one of the rarest fish in the world. So this is, you're not seeing this one every day. But and I guess you're not, carcasses like that aren't washing up in Australia every day. So that's why we're talking about it. But 50th episode in the Edging the Truth lexicon. Thanks to everybody for being along with us for the ride, and looking forward to many, many more. So thanks, Red.
Thank you, Fudge. And thank you for listening.
Visit edgingthetruth.com for more information and links to all our social media and podcast directories.